is the Mandalorians Explosionomics After Show, breaking down and discussing each and every episode of the Disney Plus original Star Wars series, The Mandalorian. My name is Dylan Blight. Join me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here and excited that all your theories proved false.
Fucking hell.
As usual.
This week's episode, Chapter 24, The Return. It was once again directed by Rick Famuyiwa, written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. The synopsis was shit. It was the Mandalorian and his allies confront their enemies. Love that, Disney Plus. All right. Before getting into overall thoughts of the episode, I do want to say, and we can come back to it, but put a pin in this. I'm saying it's bad writing. Is what I'm saying right now. It's bad writing. You can't.
It's bad titling. It's bad titling.
Yeah, it's bad English. The spies, plural. There's a spy. Bad English. Anyway, what was your overall thoughts on this episode?
I mean, it was fine. You know, there was a battle, bunch of Mandalorians flying around, lots of jetpacks. I mean, if you're a huge Mandalorian fan, like seeing Mandalorian battles, I guess, you know, if that's something that you've desperately wanted, this is the moment, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good, I guess, you know. It was cool to see, you know. I don't know.
When you have to say it's pretty good, I guess. Like,
I mean, I mean, it was enjoyable for the most part, but I mean, nothing super significant happened, and then it ended on a point that's kind of, I guess, setting up another season, but also could easily be the end. You know, it definitely didn't leave any loose threads there. You know what I mean? But then they like bring up different things that are like totally random, like these Moff Gideon clones that apparently he was putting the Force in. But my big issue with this episode is I want to know what kind of steroids Moff Gideon's on. Because he's like super strong this whole entire episode. Like unfathomably strong. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Love that for the show. Yeah, I thought
it's
it
like
was
he took super soldier serum or something. You know what I mean?
I thought it was it was an episode of TV that finished a season of a show of like, I feel this season was more content and less television, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? You know, like where you're like, when the word content's used as like sort of a negative, you know, like it's a thing, like you may enjoy it, but
we
it's
need
like,
to put Mandalorian out. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Yeah. It felt more like we had to do this rather than we cared to do this scenario. Like the only stuff in retrospect, because obviously there's not much that happens in this like there's a lot that happens in this episode, but at the same time, not a lot. It just sort of wraps up. It's kind of it's like, yeah, it's part 2, cool, finish. And then, but as the season as a whole, looking back on it straight away now that as soon as you watch the finale, I'm like, it's sort of a nothing season. Like, I don't really know what the point was.
They did reclaim Mandalore, so I mean, something pretty significant in Star Wars happened.
Yeah, like one, but it felt like that's the only thing. Is my point. Like the only stuff that mattered this season was anything that was Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan, reclaim Mandalore, all that, yes. But everything else just seemed like
Moff Gideon's definitely dead this time, right? Am I right?
Moff fucking Gideon. Yeah, right,
am I right?
Let's go.
Or has he got secret clones all over the place?
Here, let's dive into this hole then.
Yeah.
Was Moff Gideon, or was this Moff Gideon a clone?
I don't know.
Because if it was a clone, and
I mean, it would make sense. It would make more sense if it was a clone who'd been doing some sort of like, you know, modification stuff.
Yeah, it would make more sense. So I'm sitting on that. I'm sitting on it. He was a clone.
Yeah.
He did die that last time. This was a clone.
Yeah, he died on that ship. He got killed by the Empire. His body was being transported somewhere, and they had to take his body for the cells or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or he's in some secret base somewhere.
Yeah. Or just fucking retcon that and make that the scenario, because that sort of helps the direction of going.
He's literally in another base that's copied exactly the same as this one with the phaser walls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Here's my... Since I did so well with my theory last week.
Amra, yep. Do you want to apologize to Amra? for besmirching her name?
I think the writer should apologize to me first. And then we'll see how they go. Moff Gideon. He's Snoke, right?
No. You son of a bitch.
Because here, let me take you down this path. This path. Moff Gideon, he may have died here at the end. He probably did. He went out like his character in Breaking Bad in a bomb. And then
bunch of fire.
A bunch of fire. But so he may be dead. That's fine. But one of those clones survived, right? The one that woke up like evil-eyed Grogu.
Yeah, didn't blow him up properly.
So that one's got some force. Now it survives, but it comes out a bit fucked up because of the fire.
Like all burnt up or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like fully scarred, like unhuman looking.
Yeah.
And somehow his voice chords changed and he's adopted the voice of Andy Serkis.
Mm. So then we go to season 4 and Bo-Katan comes and finds Din Djarin chilling out on his little homestead. And she says, somehow Moff Gideon has returned.
Just looking all solemn-like. You know?
Yeah. Because, you know, he wasn't a Sith. They made that clear. This character, not a Sith. But he had the Force. He was strong in the Force. Unnaturally. As if he earned it. Incorrectly. Man, clones are bad. We should just get away from clones. It just makes sense.
No, they've already doubled down on clones. That's the future of the franchise. Just clones.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy that, you know, the thing they took away from prequels, clones.
They're clones.
That's what we're going to build the rest of this franchise around.
Yeah. I'm so annoyed that that would have been such a baller move if they actually made Moff Gideon say, instead of being like, I was going to inject the Force, the one thing I never had. If he was being like, I was trying to inject midichlorians. Like, I would have loved to have for him just to drop a midichlorians bomb.
I guess that raises, why would they bring the Emperor back then?
I assume that's a Thrawn thing. Like if they want to continue,
it's somebody else using the same technology, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna, if we're gonna go deep into like what's the end goal for this Disney Plus universe story thing, then I'd say it makes sense for Thrawn, who would still be loyal to the Emperor because that's the sort of character he is, to see that through, like to see his plan of cloning or whatever through. Like, yeah, Gideon was out for himself. That's what he wanted. I don't think. You tell me that character was loyal to the Emperor, and I'll be like, nah. He was just a bad guy. He wanted power for himself. It was nothing about anything else. So, yeah, I mean, I hope he's actually dead because ultimately, as cool as the best scene in this episode was seeing Mando fight his way through the little gate, go John Wick. You know, that was a cool scene. See him take them on one by one. That was the best scene in the whole episode, I thought. But then once we got there at the end and, you know, Gideon comes out and stuff and they have to fight, I'm like, we've done this. Like, what's the... Like, I straight away didn't really care. I'm like, we've had this fight before. Like, I don't really care that you're back. I just kind of preferred when you were just dead and I thought your story was over. I thought we did it, you know, season 2. And then the fact that he, like, just straight up, they spend so much of this season, so much the last 2 seasons, and all of the Clone Wars, and all of Star Wars, talking about the Darksaber, and then he just breaks it.
It's like, all this lineage, all this importance, snap. Yeah.
It's like it's a very like, it's like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were like writing against each other in the writing room, and Jon Favreau just like snapped up the pen and then wrote, and then Gideon snaps it in a very much like, if my child can't have it, yours can't.
Dave Filoni's like,
yeah. There's no way to change it now that you've wrote that on the page.
Yeah, it's fine. They can fix it.
I mean, yeah, they can actually.
They got that robot.
Yeah,
it's going to be in Ahsoka.
Yeah, true. So that was very weird.
That's how it's all going to tie in. The Mandalorians actually found that robot because they need him to fix the Darksaber.
Maybe. How do you feel about the lack of any, like, so no Thrawn, no after credits, no tease for Ahsoka? Like, do you think it was a good thing that it just sort of wrapped up its
I mean, I would have loved it, but I don't think it was surprising given how the episode ends with Mando and Grogu living happily ever after, kind of on the cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
I mean, Pedro Pascal whisking his way this kid from his destiny to live in a cabin in a new settlement.
I do not believe he was on set once. He never took his helmet off this entire season. He was never on set.
He wasn't allowed to.
He was never.
He was redeemed. He didn't want to take his helmet off. He didn't want to take any more risks.
I don't believe it. I reckon he was filming The Last of Us and then going to a sound booth and recording his lines. He was never on set for the show. He doesn't even know what Grogu looks like in real life. Let's just switch the credits. They should have the two dudes who play him on set before, and then have Pedro Pascal listed third. Sorry, but sometimes the truth
Voice work's very important.
I mean, to this character,
yep.
It's fine. Yeah, I liked how he finally adopted him, so he's finally officially daddy material.
Jin Grogu.
Yeah, don't know how that works, but whatever. So that's
like
nice.
Chinese names. The surnames at the front.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And then
does that mean Bo-Katan's her given name?
Kryze is her family name.
Bo-Katan Kryze.
Yeah.
Okay, then no, I don't know that.
Yeah, so her first name's Bo-Katan.
Might just be a Death Watch.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Death Watch thing. That's right, motherfuckers. I'm so annoyed about that. Like, not only do you do all these little red herrings and entire episode the spies, and if it wasn't her, there was that stage there when old mate was coming into the ship at the end, and I was like, he was the second spy. And then when the episode ended, I was like, I was the spy. Who was the fucking, like, you can't.
Dylan, it's pretty clear Moff Gideon was the spy the entire time, spying in the dark against the other council. His own motivations,
No, whoever just titled the episode was like, oops.
Or maybe there's another spy in that episode and we just didn't notice them because they're super sneaky.
Yeah, Grogu for Luke Skywalker. It's all happening.
Yeah.
I'm so pissed off too that he does that massive force field thing and saves them both. And I'll tell you why. Do you want to try and guess why? I bet you can't. You won't be able to. So he's a baby, right?
Yeah.
He does this massive force field, protects daddy and stepmommy is fucking against the fireball. That's how Kanan died, because he couldn't hold it long enough. And he died.
He's got more midichlorians, so.
It's fucking bullshit, man. This is a baby. That's how Kanan dies. Like, come on.
He had that training that he had with Luke like 4 years ago, or 10 years ago, I don't know. That he's been practicing every day, so But was Kanan trying to save his daddy?
No, Kanan was saving his loved ones, but like he achieves it, but he died. Like he's unable to save himself. So
well, turns out here's Dave Filoni saying Kanan was a bitch the entire time.
To treat this guy like they take his eyes,
just
it's bullshit. I don't really know. I feel like this is a very weird season. Like, and not only do I feel weird about this season, but I honestly feel like my Twitter, which had mostly been 99% of people loving it, 1% not for the last two seasons, a lot more split this season. How do you feel the reaction's been?
I definitely agree with that. People made a lot more split. They're like, oh, what the happened? Because it's all the people who are like plot. They're like, oh, what's happening with the plot? And then people who maybe enjoyed like random shit. Like, I think obviously episode 6, super divisive. You know, and that probably is the most telling episode, like, of the split of fans. So,
I mean, you think about it right now, because I'll say it. That was the best episode of the season.
I mean, yeah, that was the most enjoyable.
It was the most enjoyable. Like,
and I'm going to say it. That's what we're going to get more of in season 4, based on how they end this episode.
Which would make me very happy. The biggest and best thing that come out of this season was that little just set up at the end, just I'm going to go do jobs for New Republic. They're going to send me out on these hunts that can be 1 or 2 episodes just to look for remnants of the Empire. Like, got to take down bounty, like people hold up on planets. Like, you know, like just go back to more of that season 1 feel of just
random adventure of the week.
Adventure of the week.
You don't need some massive overall story.
Yeah,
we've got 2 other series to do.
Yeah, and look, I'm fine with, like, if we get a 4th season and that's what it is, fantastic. If it's more of the vibe of episode 6, where it's just like you can have super serious or wild and weird as that episode was, that's what I want. That's what I want out of this show. That's what I thought the show was supposed to be.
Mando and Grogu on murder mystery adventures.
Yeah,
done.
If you want to continue Bo-Katan's story, that's a separate show. Don't
Mandalorian's done.
Yeah, the Mandalorian.
Trademarked.
If I'm not against, like, obviously he's going to get, these 2 characters are going to get swept back up into whatever the massive event is with Thrawn eventually, which I'm not against for the movie event or whatever. However, for the sake of this show, I definitely hope that, the writing on the wall as of how this season ends is more smaller, solo adventures, bounty hunting, how the show started. That's what I want.
Yep.
That'd be good. So.
And then them just sitting at home, hanging out, playing with frogs.
I don't recall. Have they ever done I don't remember the actual name for that transition, but have they ever done that transition at the end of the show before?
No. It was so random.
Well, it's usually how Star Wars movies end.
Oh.
So I feel like it was like, this is the end, like it's the 3rd season.
This is the end.
This is the end of this story.
Sorry, guys, Mandalorian cancelled.
No. But it felt like these, so that's what it gave me anyway. Like, we're doing that transition because that's how the movies usually end, with the
because the last few seasons obviously we had cliffhangers, I guess. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, like very loose open threads here.
So yeah, it's very much like, hey, these 3 seasons, that's doing that transition to end. Is these 3 seasons? That's one story. It's over now. We're going back to season 4. It's like sort of a soft reset. Back to bounty hunting. Good.
Yep.
I know. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I love Grogu running around. Like even just him using the force powers. Well, yeah, him being in IG-12, which, you know, leads into we get IG-11 back at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, guess what? I got a surprise for you. It's the robot I said I wanted at the start of the season and then didn't end up wanting.
We fired Cara Dune from this job because she's transphobic and we've replaced her with a robot.
They are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good for Taika, I guess. Another job.
$10,000.
Yeah, you know, or, you know, more dialogue. I guess they're going to make it the money worth, I guess. But yeah, Grogu like jumping around on the lights, I thought that was very fun, and then him using his force powers, and you know, him walking at the end was very weird though. You know, because his little thing was up a little bit too high, and you could see his little legs dangling on the floor. But yeah. Also, it looks like Zeb wasn't in the bar, so maybe he's gone somewhere else. Doing something else.
Oh.
Gone to another bar.
I can't wait for Ahsoka starts, and Ahsoka walks up to Sabine, and she goes, hey, can you come like help me find that kid Ezra that we used to hang out with? And she's going to be like, yeah, no worries. That sounds awesome. And then Ahsoka's like, do you know they like reclaimed your home planet? No, like fuck that though. Come with me. Like we'll go there later.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. Like it's fine. We'll go there later. It's fine. All right.
I mean, it's pretty significant that they like relit the forge and like
it was a cool moment.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
yeah. I'm just like, just make that its own. If you want to continue that story, especially when you're like showing the mythosaur again.
Yeah, what's the
teasing that going to play out?
He's there.
Yeah, he's there.
He's going to show up and eat Thrawn. That's it. Done.
Maybe that'd be a funny way to go. So. All right, thank you for joining us for this season of the Mandalorians. Of course, you can find all our other shows and stuff on explosionhour.com. And this podcast will continue, like all good things. It never dies. We return once again. We'll be back on, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever it is, roughly, for Star Wars Visions. And we'll do 2 episodes on that. 4 episodes and then 4 episodes like we did last time. And before we know it, Ahsoka will be out. And of course, we'll be back for a week by week with that. No idea what I'm going to call that show yet. We've got time. We'll think about it.
For Ahsoka?
Yeah, for Ahsoka. I mean,
Rebels 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, no, your names are terrible. I don't think we even
Rebels Returns.
I think it was like 5 minutes before we recorded our Andor one, and I just like made it up then. So we'll see how we go. Yeah,
I guess we can't call it Rebels.
No, yeah. It's probably already taken. So anyway, don't need to decide it now, because the podcast will go from 20 minutes to 20 hours. So follow our Twitters, explosionhour.com/Twitter, and check out our Discord, explosionhour.com/Discord, if you want to talk to us on any of those platforms about the show. That would be great. And until next time, we have spoken.
Did it cross your mind when the episode was called The Return that Luke might show up again?
Yes.
Because it's Return of the Jedi.
I hated it.
I mean, at least they didn't do it.